Little Laps is a minimalist single-screen time trial racer that pits you against the track and an online leaderboard to see how well you'll do during lap after lap, trying to shave mini seconds off your time. Now, Little Laps is a single button game, so you only press to accelerate, there is no brake, there is no steer, because this game plays a little bit like a slot car racing game. It puts you on the central reservation, or kind of like dotted line if there was a reservation, in the centre of each track layout. And so it will turn automatically, it will spin turn automatically when it gets to hairpins. And what you're controlling is feathering the throttle for how much speed you take into a corner, letting go so that you then decelerate before you hit a corner, because if you hit the corner too quickly, your car will lose grip and spin off. If you hammer the throttle on acceleration out of a corner, you'll get into a drift, but the car will then lose adhesion and grip to the surface and will then spin off as well. And so you're trying to find the absolute upper limit for each corner as it goes. And although I can't 100% say this is absolutely correct, it feels like Little Laps has some kind of tyre warming element to it, because it feels like lap after lap after lap, you're able to get away with slightly more speed. And then it comes to a point where perhaps it then becomes overheated and suddenly what was previously acceptable then isn't, and you'll spin off. But crucially, it's about that slow in, fast out mentality and being able to not hammer the throttle in such a way that then spins up your tyres and spins you off. That changing of grip, though, is me potentially being either very generous to the game or calling out what is by far the most frustrating element of Little Laps, and it's its inconsistency in grip. What works one lap doesn't work the next, even if you are matching the same speed going in and getting as close to as possible, matching the same kind of throttle output on the way out. You're never quite sure because that's very subjective to the person. But I can do the same corner multiple times with the same speed and get very different results and then kind of be left questioning why. And so I'm trying to think, is there more hidden physics behind the scenes that's just not called out or explained? The other element of this is that if you've got switchbacks and hairpins, the car spins on a dime and can be taken at a faster speed than some of the more open corners where you're drifting. And that is back to front for me and really counterintuitive and makes zero sense, which then makes me go, well, then what grip is correct in Little Laps entirely? Because you're having to reverse engineer your brain to match up to something that just doesn't match real world physics, which then means it's really difficult to chase your ultimate lap time and then get higher up the leaderboard. There's 18 tracks in total, which is relatively small, but this is a cheap game at the £3 price point. And each track does have its own online leaderboard, which is quite nice because then you're always kind of chasing the next score as you go along. And I really appreciate the fact that you have your own best time as a hot lap ghost going around so that you can kind of work out where they're going faster or slower over time. But I came away from this game just so confused about how physics works in Little Laps that I became frustrated. After about an hour of trying to understand the physics, I still felt no further forward and was getting more and more frustrated. And so it's at that point I've kind of parked it and gone, I need to get the review out and done, expressing my concerns. And if the developer finds this, maybe adding in some more tutorialized nuance, if there is deeper physics going on that I'm just not getting, would be really helpful. Or being really clear about why this game doesn't match real world physics or have a consistent approach to physics would be really, really helpful. Aside from that, also just be aware that the menus don't seem to work properly with a controller. Use your mouse. Off and away you go. Little Laps is out now.